I'd like to share with us today the story of the Israelites. You know, there's a particular account that talks about a challenge that they encountered on their journey through the wilderness. Now, these are people who have enjoyed a lot of miracles. If you're familiar with the story of the Israelite being moved from Egypt to the promised land with Moses as their leader. Now, there's this account of the people complaining because they had no meat and they were eating manna, which initially, when the manna started falling, it was a miracle for them. But at this point, they were so used to the manna and they wanted something more. So there's no problem with wanting something more. But their approach was the problem. They started complaining that we are tired with this manna. We are tired with it. We want something more. We want to eat meat. And they made a statement as part of their complaint. They said, it was well with us when we were in Egypt. Wow. This struck me very importantly. Was it really well with them when they were in Egypt? When they had to go through the slavery, carry burdens, they were being flogged and building, different structures under harsh conditions. And they said it was well with us when we were in Egypt. You'll find this in Numbers chapter 11, the account of this story I'm talking about. This happens to us sometime when we encounter challenges, problems, or difficulties in our lives. We tend to look at our past and always see it as a rosy past and consider the present to be worst in every ramification. Let me give you an example. Just a couple having argument and misunderstanding. At that point, if you're not careful, your mind will just take you to, as a married man or married woman, your mind will take you back to those times when you were single. The next thing you begin to say to yourself, it was better for me when I was single. I didn't have all these problems and challenges to deal with. It was better for me when I was single. Are you sure it was all rosy for you when you were single? You forgot those times you were praying to have a life partner. You forgot those times you were praying to get a husband. How about in your place of work? Sometimes, you may be having work where you're doing and where you go to work every day, and maybe because of one challenge you face in your place of work, all of a sudden the whole place of work becomes a mess in your head. You begin to see it as, why am I suffering this place of work? I don't like. There's this story actually about this young man who was complaining so much about his place of work. He was just so tired. He said, I don't this place, look at this job. He complained so much about his job. Then one day he's the manager of his place of work where he's working told him that actually, because of the difficulties they are having, they want to downsize, they want to relieve some workers. So when he got wind of that news, he went on his knees, he started praying. He said, God, I don't want to lose this job. Meanwhile, this was the job he was complaining about. In our lives, when we face these problems, when we face these challenges, instead of generalizing and considering everything to be bad, let us focus on that very problem that is the issue and look for a way to solve it. Like the instance I gave before, you have an argument with your wife, you have an argument with your husband, and you begin to see your husband as totally bad. You begin to see the person as everything about the person. Is everything really bad about the person? No. Look at it critically. When we are angry, when we are in trouble, sometimes we don't think or reason well. So take this position, or take this approach, that when you face a challenge or a problem, look for the solution to that particular problem. Do not allow the poison I call it poison because when you carry that thought, when you carry that idea, when you carry that approach that everything is wrong, you're going to be taking a kind of poison you don't even need in your system. Everything is not wrong. It's not as bad as you think. It's not so bad the way you're looking at it, or the way you're imagining it to be in your mind. Look at that particular problem, find the solution to the particular problem. If you need to talk to a counselor, please do. If you need to talk to someone, please do. But do not generalize and consider everything about your spouse to be bad. No, everything about your spouse cannot be bad. Everything about your husband or your wife cannot be bad. Because of that single argument, go and sort it out. If you need to forgive your wife, forgive your wife. If there's a particular habit or behavior that your wife is into, or your husband is into, or your boss or whoever colleague you're working with is into, and you need, now the main issue is not struggling to make sure that the person stops the behavior. The main issue is you struggling to know how to approach that behavior, how to approach the person, how to live with the person despite that behavior, so that you don't carry a poison in your heart. Because it will be terrible poison for you to every day, for you to be moving every day with this approach that, look, I'm living with this kind of terrible person, I'm living with this kind of unbearable person, or I'm doing this kind of unbearable job. The moment you begin to consider it as an unbearable job, you consider as a bitter job, a job that you don't need to be there, you are carrying a poison that will rob you of your joy, that will rob you of peace, and will rob you of effectiveness. It will rob you of creativity. It will rob you of a lot of things. Do not carry that poison. You don't need it. Look at the situation critically. I repeat, it's not as bad as you think. Like the Israelites, they thought about their situation and they started comparing it negatively. They say it was better for us when we were in Egypt. Look, never see your past as better than your present. Things may not appear the way you want them to be, but I want to tell you, if you take this approach whereby you solve a particular problem and not allow it to to generalize and say everything is bad, you will learn to see the good in your situation. Till I come your way in the next video, do not allow a situation to become a poison in your system and rob you of your joy. God bless you.